Moses, we can't hear you.
Okay, yeah. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, so sorry for that. We want to welcome you. This is Euroforum UG. Moses Mugisha is my name. We are delighted to be back here again with Faizal Luttamaguzi, a businessman living in Stockholm, Sweden. Today we are here in style. In his background, you see a wooden bike. And we've, for a couple of times, talked about his wooden bike concept, where he carries out tours in London, New York, and Stockholm. But this time around, we want to really look at it practically and see what he always tells us about his wooden bike concept. You, our dear viewer out there, want to thank you so much. Thank you for always choosing Euroforum. Today we are here to take episode 3 of topic Beyond the Challenge. Faizal is an inspirational speaker, but a unique one who shares a story as he inspires us. Faizal Luttamaguzi, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, and happy Sunday to everyone listening and looking in. It's a beautiful sunny day in Stockholm, and today's episode, we thought we'll start it outside. It's such a beautiful day. And also the fact in the last 3 episodes that I've been on the show, I know we've spoken a lot about the concept of using what you have. So today we thought that we will put that into practice and show you a real practical example of how I've used what I have. So we thought we'll give you a little demonstration of the wooden bicycle and actually more practical, the latest version of the wooden bicycle. So yeah, this is why we're outside today, and I hope everyone can hear me. Besides the noise, can you hear me well, everyone? Moses, can you hear me? Okay. Great. Yes. And as always, Moses, it's a pleasure to be back on the show. And yeah, I am looking forward to see what you would like to discuss today.
Yes, Faisal, I can hear you well. Yes, perfect.
Great. So yeah, where would you like to start today?
Yes, thank you so much, Faisal. Yes, as it's clearly shown, it's a wooden bike in the background. Yes, Faisal, this is a very unique innovation. This is something we are not so much used to. Yes, about this wooden bike concept. Okay, what is it so special that makes it so unique? As you one time told us here, you are an award winner, where you won the award of being the most innovative entrepreneur in Stockholm 2019. And it was all about your concept of the wooden bike. So what is so fascinating about this wooden bike that even wins you an award?
Well, the short story behind the wooden bicycle is that, as you mentioned a few times on the show, I run a few businesses in Stockholm, London, and New York called the Tours of Stockholm, Tours of London, and Tours of New York. And what we do is that we offer guided experiences in these cities. And so throughout my years running these businesses, one thing I've realized is that in each city, there's something unique, either about the people, about the city in itself. So when I was talking to people who visit these cities and they book my tours, I usually ask them, why did you come to Stockholm? What made you vacation in Stockholm? And then the second question is, why did you book my experiences? And usually, the one answer I always get from people, regardless if they're from New York, South Africa, Australia, they all say the same thing about Sweden. They said that Sweden is a very safe city. They've read that. And also they used to tell me that Sweden is a very sustainable city. And this got me very curious. They said, okay, this is interesting. Where have you heard this? They usually say, well, we read it somewhere that Sweden is one of the most sustainable cities in the world. And then I usually ask them, what does that mean? What does it mean when a city is sustainable? And everyone used to say, I don't know. I just read it. So this got me thinking. I was like, wow, this is a very interesting concept. A lot of people know that Stockholm is a sustainable city or Sweden is a sustainable country, but nobody really knows what that means. So this is when I got the idea to start a tour that explores the sustainable side of Stockholm. And as I was thinking, I said, what is the best way to move from A to B, if not by the most sustainable transport we have today, and that's a bicycle. And then I said, can I create a bicycle that is as sustainable as it can be? So the one thing that we have a lot of in Sweden is woods. We have a lot of forest. We have a lot of forest in the city, in the country. So I said, okay, maybe I can create a bicycle out of this forest. So this is the short story of how the wooden bicycle was born and why I created it. So today we use this bicycle to explore the sustainable Stockholm. So people come to the city, they book my experiences, and we ride on these bicycles and explore how Sweden is a sustainable country. So that's the short version of how I created these bicycles.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much, Faizal. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. We now have a short insight of what it is all about. What inspired you to do this? Okay. Are these bikes made in Stockholm or something?
No. So these bicycles are made in Greece, actually, and the reason to that is. I know, again, we talk about using what you have. So when I first got the idea, right, I started calling around to various companies in Sweden. I said, I have this idea. I want you to produce this bicycle for me. But the backside of living in Scandinavian countries is that everything takes a lot of time, right? We live in a very bureaucratic nation. Mm-hmm. And all of you who lives in Norway or Sweden or Denmark knows this, that, things needs to be done, everything correctly by the book. And as an entrepreneur, I'm very impatient. I needed my idea to come to fruition pretty quickly. So what I said, and it was hard for people to see my vision without, it was just an idea I had in my head. And it's very hard to attract somebody if you only have an idea. So I said, okay, let me start in the other end. As we've spoken, I said, can I go somewhere else that can produce the bicycles? And then I have something to show them. Because Sweden, they said, we could do this for you, but it will take you maybe 3 to 5 years. I told them, I don't have 3 to 5 years. I'll give you 2 months. And they said, okay, we don't work like that, sir. Things need to be done. You need to submit an application. You need to get a contract, health and safety, yada, yada, yada. You know the drill. So I said, okay, this is not going to work. So I did the other way around. I said, let me do what we do best in our countries, right? The southern countries of Europe or in Africa, mujagu jagu. Where can I find somebody who can put my vision into life? So I did find a company in Greece. They said, of course, we'll produce this for you. So we started a company in Greece together with the partner I found there. And they produced the first version of the bicycle for me. And that's how we started. So it was after I had the bicycle, I came back to Sweden and I showed to the city of Sweden. That's when they said, oh my God, this innovation, we want to give you a prize. Wow, this is Swedish made. And I said, actually, no, it's Ugandan made in Greece. But it's okay. I live in Stockholm. Fine, we can say that it's Swedish made. So, so they wanted to love to take the credit to give me the Innovator of the Year in Sweden, even though it's not made in Sweden. But again, that's the lesson I've learned along the way. People will not give you credit for your vision. They will only give you credit for your product. So you need to believe in it first. So a lot of people have a lot of ideas, and you say, why do nobody wants to invest in me? Nobody wants to invest in my idea. Nobody wants to invest in my vision. Nobody will invest in your vision. They can only invest in the results. So this is where I made the jump or the faith to produce something first before I had the credits or before I had any customers. So it wasn't until I got the bicycles on the streets of Stockholm that the city of Stockholm said, wow, we need to speak to you. This is amazing. Why don't we produce this in Sweden? I said, yes, because I tried a few months ago. You told me it would take several years. I could do this in months. So that was the biggest lesson I learned. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. What is still? I would just love to get the detail about what fascinates the Swedish government to give you the award of the best innovator of the year. Is it just being wooden?
Yes,
yes.
No,
we have a lot of things that are wooden.
Yes, let me give you a zoom into, I can show you some of the elements. Okay, why is this an innovation according to them? Okay, first of all, the wood element is one part, right? Because before this, as long as we know, nobody thought of producing a bicycle in wood. And the reason why we thought this was a good idea is because for every bicycle that we produce, we plant 10 more trees. And from one tree, we can produce 50 bicycles. So with this initiative, we are contributing to growing more trees. So this is the first thing that we do. And second, we realize that producing a bicycle in wood, it can last for a lifetime. Okay, because just like you have a wooden table at home, and this wooden table can last for years, same thing with the trees out in the forest. They can live longer than we humans can. So this is the main idea, is that we wanted to produce a bicycle that would outlast a human life. Because today, if you go into a store and you buy a bike, it will break down within 3 to 5 years, and you need to buy a new one. Our idea is that you buy one bike and you keep it for the rest of your life, because it will outlast you. That's the first thing. Now, let me give you some of the ideas that makes this innovative, or why I got innovation. First, if I zoom in here on the wheels, you will see these are not air tires. This is not air in here. We have created a tire that cannot get punctured. You cannot puncture this. Let me show you, because if you look around, there's nowhere to put air in it. As you see, there is no space to pump in air, because this is not air. So this tire will never get a flat tire. So that's the first thing. So you don't have to put money on changing this or getting a flat tire. That's the first thing. That means lifetime. I'll move up here. You see this lamp? We have a light here. Usually when you have these lights, you need batteries to replace them. What we have done, let me take this out and show you. You charge this. You use your regular phone charger and you charge your lamp at home. So you can take it home, you charge it, and in the evening you can use it, or you can use the sun. You use sun power to charge the light. So again, no use of batteries or anything that needs to be replaced. And then if I continue here, let me show you what you see here. What do you see when you look at this? What is this?
The black stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice, huh?
Yes,
Looks like a battery.
Exactly. So usually on a regular bike, this is a water bottle, right? This is where you put your water when you're thirsty. What we have done is we said we're going to make an electric wooden bike. So we have made a battery instead. So in the place where you have your water bottle and it looks like a water bottle, let me turn this on. I turn it on here. On. And instead, it is a battery. And it's a battery you can charge either at home, again, your usual phone charger, or you can charge it by the sun. So we have a wooden bicycle that's run on electricity. So if you're a businessman, you wear a suit, you want to drive maybe 10 kilometers to work, and you don't want to be sweaty, we have a fully electric bicycle for you. So you don't even need to use the pedals. You just turn on the gear here, and you can cruise all the way to work. So that's another thing that's very innovative about this. Also, continuing on here, the last thing I would like to share with you is, okay, as you can see here, I don't have a lock for my bicycle, because usually that's one of the things is that if you have a bicycle, people probably want to steal it. So what we have done is you use the bicycle as your lock. So when you park your bike, what you do is you take out the seat here, you remove it, and you insert it in here to lock your bicycle. And then you lock it here on this side. Now the bicycle cannot be moved or stolen. So this is what we've done, is we try to find as many elements as possible that are natural in nature to create not only just a good looking vehicle, but a very functional vehicle that will get you from A to B. You can ride this for 15 kilometers without sweating. You just cruise. So it's like a boda or a motorcycle, if you wish, because we have a battery that can last for 3 days. You charge it, you cruise it. So yeah, these are some of the innovations that we came up with. And you can see here is the engine of the bike. So it's a bicycle if you want, with a regular like bike tires, but it also has an engine. So you have a proper engine inside the bicycle, and you never need any fuel or petrol. You just need the energy from the sun, or to charge it at home, just like you would charge your phone on a regular basis. So these are just some of the functions that we have on the bicycles that we've created. And then also, if you look at this space here, this is a multi-function space. It's sturdy enough for a person to sit on. If you want, you can sit on here. But then also, we've created several add-ons. So, for example, if you want a small basket, we created a basket for it. And you see underneath here, there are some kegs. See? So what we do is you use these kegs, place it here, you lock it. Wow. Now, if you want, you have a basket. You can carry stuff with you. You can replace this. You can put something else. Okay, I don't want a basket. I want something else. Maybe I want a child seat. You remove it. You can put a child seat. So this is a multifunctional space that you can use any way you want. So these are just some of the functions that we put in the bike that the city of Stockholm gave us the award as Innovation of the Year.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm back here.
Yes, this is really amazing. Yes, and something. Okay, before that, how much does this bike cost? In case someone would love to buy a private one.
Okay, it's in one way it's a complicated question because actually we don't sell the bikes, and let me explain why. Because the first thing people say, "Wow, you need to sell this, you make millions." But again, what we realize is that first you need to understand and buy into the idea of, okay, if you want to buy it, because a lot of people have come to me and said, I want to buy it. And I asked them why. They said, I have a restaurant. You know, if I put this outside of my restaurant, people will stop and say, wow, what is this? And go in and buy my food. I say, no, you're not welcome. We don't want to sell you the bike because it's not a paint. It's not something, it's functioning machine, right? Don't want people to use it just because, wow, it looks beautiful. Let me go inside and eat their food because we get a lot of these requests. So we need to understand, how do you work with sustainability? If you're a business and you want to buy this, you need to show me how you work with sustainability, and then maybe we'll sell you a bike. If you're a private person and you want to actually buy a bike and ride it to and from work, yes, we can custom make the bike for you. And as you can see here, we make custom made bikes because we can engrave your name here, if you will. This is the name of our company. We engrave it here, but we can engrave whatever you wish, and we can tailor make it for you. So it all depends on what you want on your bicycle. So it can cost everything from, I'll say 2,000 euros as a beginning, all the way to 3,500 euros. Is what we sell them for those who have bought the bikes. This is what we sell them for usually.
Okay. Yes. It's you know, there is a lot. There are so many questions burning about this wooden bike concept. I see it's a 4-in-1. It's not even enough to say a 2-in-1. Okay. On an average tourist, very much interested in taking a wooden bike trip around Stockholm. How much would the trip cost? Okay, the duration and even the cost. How do I place an order?
Yes. So for a person to take the wooden bike tour, it costs them 50 euros. So they pay 50 euros to take the tour with us, and the tour lasts for 2 hours. And now it's summertime. It's full season, so we have about 3 tours per day, 3 starts per day. We have a tour at 10 o'clock, one at 12:30, and one at 3 o'clock. And I can tell you they're very popular, so they're fully booked. Every day, fully booked. And the maximum amount of people we have on each tour, we try to keep it to 15 people. So 15 people per tour. So on a daily, daily we have 45 people every day, Monday to Sunday, taking the torch with us.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes, it's a wooden bike trip. okay, from A to B. In between, what is entailed in this trip? What do I get? I mean, how do I attach value to my 50 euros?
Good question. Yes. So you take the wooden bicycle. Okay. Besides riding on these amazing bicycles, what do you get? Right. So what we do during these 2 hours is we educate you in sustainability. We educate you in how Stockholm is sustainable. So what we do is we visit some brands. We go to H&M. We go to the headquarters of H&M, and they talk about sustainable fashion. They like to tell, we're a Swedish company. This is how we work with sustainable fashion. So they educate our customers. After that, we go to a restaurant and they talk about how they work with sustainable in food, like how they're reusing food to not throw it away or not let it go to waste. So they educate you, and we take a break there, and we have some of the food, and our customer gets to taste it. After that, we go to a garden in Stockholm named Rosendal's Garden. They talk about how they work with sustainability in agriculture, right? So this whole entire experience is about education, because we want to, after you finish in the 2 hours, you have not only experienced and sightseeing Stockholm, but you go home back to your country where you're from, and you are a little bit more responsible about how you treat food, how you treat the clothes that you buy, how they treat the world that we live in. Because I know we talk about sustainability every day in Africa. We talk about how can we be more sustainable. We talk about we have too many cars on the road. We talk about we live in a polluted environment. But okay, what do we do about it? So this is my way of contributing a little bit, because when I got to learn that Stockholm is a sustainable city, what does that mean? So this is what I try to teach people. What does that mean for Stockholm to be sustainable? So this is what you get to learn on this 2-hour tour.
Yes, thank you so much. You sound so passionate about what you're doing, so passionate about Stockholm as a city. A Ugandan child, a Ugandan raised in Stockholm, you're an immigrant. I mean, where do you get this love for Stockholm, a country where you just a foreigner, to even be an ambassador of environmental protection or something, if I may put it that way? Where is this love rooted?
Again, a very good question. I think to begin with, I'm a passionate person from my core. I believe, like, if I get interested about something, I get 100% interested in it. So my love for Stockholm, I think, came from the years that I lived abroad. I know in the previous shows we've spoken that I lived for many years in America. I lived for many years in the UK, in London. And what I realized there is how Swedish I actually was. Because you live in Norway, and all you know is that you are an immigrant in Norway, right? You are a Ugandan in Norway. And I think for many years, this is also how I viewed myself, because the society we live in, this is how they view us also. Or not only growing up, you are an immigrant, right? This is what they tell you, because this is the facts, right? They spoke about this. They tell you your name sound different, and so you born with this idea that you're not Swedish. So it wasn't until I moved abroad I realized, you know what? I am actually Swedish. And how did I realize I was Swedish? My values. I realized I have very Swedish values. I care about like other people's well-being. Like I'm not as individualistic as Americans are. And this surprised me. I said, why am I not individualistic? I was like, wow, I actually like some of the ideas we have in Sweden is that we don't let anyone become poor. In America, I saw the most rich people I've ever seen, and I've seen the poorest people I've ever seen. And nobody cares. It's up to you to either become successful or to fight or to fall through. In Sweden, the worst thing you can be is to be on benefits. That's the worst. Mm-hmm. I'm generalizing now. But you know what I mean is that the worst situation you can be in is to be on benefits. In America, there is no such thing as benefits. If you have a rough time, you're homeless within 2 months. So I realized I valued the Swedish values that I had grown up with. And then also, I think when I went to America, they looked at me as someone who can bring value because I'm African, because I'm Swedish, because I speak several languages. So within that, me being Swedish was an asset, but it was also an asset to be African. So that's when I started realizing, you know what? When I go back to Sweden, I actually have something to contribute to the society. I don't want to be seen as someone's like, oh, you're an immigrant. So I said, okay, if I want to be valued, what do I bring to the table? And I think this is a question that not a lot of us ask. We said, oh, cool, they look at me because I'm an immigrant, because I'm Black. It's true to one sense, but ask yourself, what can you do for them to look at you different? Time, I can build stuff if I want to. So in this love, I realized I can actually contribute, not only be somebody that loves it, but somebody that they love me back because I'm bringing something. Because again, that's what you realize. People who are scared of foreigners or do dislike foreigners, I think their misconception with us is that we don't contribute with anything, right? They see it as somebody who comes to their country, we live on their benefits, but we don't contribute. We don't learn the language. We don't want to be part of the society. So this is their misconception about us. I said, okay, if I can at least change the mind of just one person by being somebody who said, wow, look at this immigrant, he's contributing to our society, then maybe I can. Where I felt like I love this place because I feel it's my home. And I think you need to start there. You need to ask yourself, do I feel like this is my home? And I can be honest with you, not every city I've lived in, I felt like it was my home. I lived in New York, it felt like my home. I love New York until this day. I've lived in Los Angeles, I did not feel like it was my home. Los Angeles is not a city for me. I know a lot of people would love to live in Los Angeles. Ooh, Hollywood and stars. Me personally, I would never live in a city in that city because it doesn't feel like my home. But Stockholm feels like my home. And what does it feel like my home? Because I feel like I can contribute something here. So yeah, I think maybe that's where you start. What does it feel like in here? You feel like Oslo is your home? If the answer is yes, then ask yourself, it's your own house. You will never own house dirty, right? Because it feels like your home. If you haven't shown the best of your side, you make your beds, you clean. I want to show the best of Stockholm because it feels like my home. I'm in love with this city. Same thing with New York, same thing with London. That's what Stockholm shows of London. I want people to see the best of the cities that I love.
Yes, thank you so much, Faizal. As you spoke, I connected your reflections to the saying that when you let something go, that's when you know how much valuable it is to you. So I think it was after leaving Stockholm, you realize how much attached you are to the city. And still, as you spoke, I realized you are sending a message to us living in foreign countries. Yes, to try to search within you where home is for you. So knowing that you live somewhere, you belong there, and you also stand a challenge of adding value to that society. Thank you so much for throwing those. Yes?
Exactly, because just the best example I can give where I see where the biggest gap is our parents' generation, right? When they moved to Sweden, to Norway, first thing they said, we will only be here temporarily. We're going back to Kampala one day, right? And then 1 year became 5 years. 5 years became 10 years. 10 years became 50. 20 years they live here. They continue saying, we're going back to Kampala. We're going back to Kampala. do you know what happens in these 20 years if you don't make yourself at home here? Of course, you feel like you don't belong because in your head, you're thinking, my heart belongs to Kampala. But then what happens today when they go back to Kampala, they said, "Barabana Uganda." But they don't think like me. I'm too European for them. Then you don't feel at home in Kampala either, right? So then where is your home? Because you didn't take your time to make yourself at home in Stockholm or Oslo. You didn't take yourself to be part of society, to contribute, because you're always telling yourself, no, my home is in Kampala. But then they go to Kampala, they say, I misunderstood there. In Kampala, they tell me, you're too European. So they're stuck in two words. So this is, I think, a lesson I learned is that until you move back to Kampala, right now you live here, so make this your home. And then if it's only your home for a week or for a decade or for 50 years, you don't know that. All you know is right now, you're here. So you can just
Faisal, speaking about that, I remember during our show when you are speaking about that award you won, that on that very session, you had contact with certain Swedish gentlemen who said he was surprised when they read who the award winner was, and there came a black man. And he said something about what he thought or what he knew as a typical immigrant mindset of survival.
Yes.
From this. Could you just throw back that and just tell us more about that? Because why I want to bring this back is that you're making it clear that the reason you're so much in love with Stockholm, that you feel it's home. Yes, but again, you also bring a reflection of what we think or what we live with, that Kampala is home. You want to believe that Kampala is home. You're not in Kampala emotionally, but as well, you're not in Oslo emotionally. So, but then there is that bit that gentleman pulled up of what a typical immigrant mindset. Yes, cast a light on that again.
Yes. So for those of you who didn't listen to that show, what happened is I got award as Innovator of the Year by the city of Stockholm for the wooden bicycles. And during the award ceremony, one of the gentlemen, an older, distinguished, very wealthy, very successful Swedish gentleman, walked up to me and he says, "I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I'm actually surprised that when they announced who the winner was, a black immigrant came up." I said, "Why are you surprised?" He said, "Because whenever you think of environmental responsibility, you don't think immigrants. Because usually when you think of somebody wanting to contribute to the environment, you think of somebody who's born here and cares for this country." I said, "Okay, elaborate. Why do you think that?" He said, again, no offense, because in my experience, when someone is an immigrant, as soon as they make it, and when I say make it economically or by fame, usually one of the first things they do is they want to show, look, I show that buy an expensive, you buy really nice shoes because you on the street to see, wow, see, this guy is successful because he's wearing expensive shoes. So this was his experience, that usually when an immigrant makes it, they're very eager to show it with outside stuff, right? A nice car, a BMW, or some nice shoes. So it's rarely that I see someone who makes it and they say, how can I contribute to the environment? He's like, this is not usually an attribute that I associate with immigrants. And I found that's really interesting, right? I was not offended, to tell you the truth. I was not offended because even though there is some truth to that, let's be real. We've all seen it, right? We all know somebody who said, you see him, he made it. How do you know? He drives a BMW. So that's the receipt of saying somebody who made it. But you don't know how he lives. He might live in a shoebox, but he put all his money on buying that really nice car. So the reason I was not offended, because I actually went home and I Googled. And you can do this yourself. Go home and Google and look at statistics of Black people in America, how much money they spend on luxurious cars versus white people in America. So this is interesting. The average wealth of a Black person in America versus a white person is 10 times as more. Like the average white person earns 10 times more as a Black person. Yet in the last year, the number of people who bought Mercedes in America, it was 3 times more black people than white people who bought Mercedes. So then you ask yourself, okay, how can the group who has less wealth put the more money on the expensive cars, right? Because it's our way of trying to show, hey, listen, we can make it too. It's not strange because you want to show, hey, I can make it too. I can, have the same success as you had. But is that real? So we're trying so eagerly to show it in the material things. And again, it's not strange. This is our way of trying to fit into society. But there are other ways also. I'm not saying it's wrong because I think we've all been there. I myself have been there. When I was 18, 19, I said, oof, I got my first money. I need to show that I can also, afford the expensive stuff. Then it's okay. It's part of our growth. But luckily, I think once you get to a point, okay, how can I be a true generator of change? How can I be a true generation of change? Is when you maybe come to a place where you can at least afford the expensive car, but you can also make a difference in the society with true innovation. So I think this is an interesting lesson to me because I love the fact that I surprised him. To me, I was not offensive. It was actually a great moment because I said, good. Now, hopefully he will go home and he said, maybe he'll speak to his wife or his children or his friends and said, hey, did you know that immigrants also love the country as much as we do, to the point where they want to educate others about sustainability. They want to teach others about how Sweden is great at being a sustainable city. So,
yes, Faizo, as always, I love your reflections. They are not average reflections. When you say home, okay, there is a saying that home is where, okay, there is no place like home. Home is where your heart lies. And the other related phrases. To you, what is home?
Usually I get asked this question when I'm out doing motivational speeches. This is one of the questions they ask me. And my usual answer is that I tell people I am a global citizen. I am a child of the world. And behind this half joke, there is a lot of truth into it. Because I realized that is I see myself as a human being first before I see myself as a person belonging to a certain nation or cultural attributes. Because I think along the way, what I've learned is that no matter where I travel to, I can always find a common denominator. Like again, let's think about the wooden bicycle that you said yourself, right? I am a Ugandan. I was born Ugandan, so I'm a Ugandan by birth, by my birthright. I am Swedish by my passport. I am American, I guess, by my accent. But in my innovation, I am also Greek because I have a factory in Greece. So most Black people would say, I would never live in Greece because it's a racist country. Yet I, as a Black person, I have a business and a company there where I work with Greek people and we work in harmony to produce something that we get a price for in Sweden. So to me, like, why would I stop there? Hopefully continue. I'll go to South Africa and I'll learn something there and I'll start with somebody. So to me, I think once you realize you can use the whole world as your playground. Like I have a business in New York, I have a business in London, I produce bicycles in Greece. And hopefully the list will continue and continue and continue. And wherever I go, I can tell you, I personally feel welcome because I've made myself welcome there. Like when I was looking for somewhere to produce the bicycles, I didn't proactively choose Greece. Before that, I had never had a reason to go to Greece. But I needed somebody who was daring enough to produce my vision. So I searched all over. I sent emails to every country I could find. And the first reply I got was from Greece. They said, we can produce this. Come down here. I said, I'm coming. And today, some of my best friends are the people I work with in Greece. So that's why I can never say I belong to a certain country. I am a global citizen. I am a child of this world. And I say world, I mean this earth. And hopefully, by the time I pass on to the next life, at my funeral, people will come from all over the world. Because during the time I've spent my life here, I've made friends in every corner of the world. And to me, hopefully that will be the receipt that I made an impact, irregardless if they are Ugandan or they're Swedish or they're South African or they're Greek. And that's the way I would like maybe one day when I move on to be remembered.
Thank you so much, Faizal. There is always a piece to carry with me every time I host you. Not just a piece, but a lot and chunks of knowledge. Before you leave that spot, we shall take a short break and then take something small before you leave that beautiful site. Yes, to you, our dear viewer, we value the time you spare to watch your forum. Faizal Luttamaguzi, the award winner in Stockholm, where he won the award of being the best innovator of the year 2019. And it was hinged on that wooden bike you see in the background. He carries out tours, food tours around Stockholm, and generally tours around the city of Stockholm, London, and New York. Yes, we shall take a short break and come back very soon. Stay tuned. Yes, yes, to you, our dear viewers. Yes, am I heard? I okay, yes. Yes, to you, our dear viewers. Our guest today is Faizal Luttamaguzi, a businessman and entrepreneur, and an award winner that I underline because him being Ugandan, of course, I have to be proud that a fellow Ugandan wins such an award in a foreign country. An award winner of the Best Innovator of the Year 2019, using that bike concept he has just shown us. He's now shortly on a break, and he has been taking us through the vision and the inspiration behind the concept. And it's quite fascinating seeing how innovations can be really broad. He has taken us through the concept itself, the different parts of the bike, how unique it is. And it is also something to take as a challenge to us immigrants, wherever you are. Yeah, that he prides in being one or an ambassador of environmental change or environmental protection in that case, in as much as he's an immigrant. Yes, there are always so many misperceptions, a lot of propaganda of how an immigrant should live in a foreign country. In as much as you may not be so sure of how long you're there, but naturally as a human being, wherever you are, you're tasked to add value to that society. Because naturally, the fact that you live there is a lot you benefit from that environment. So it's just by default and natural that someone finds something to add. Yes, so we shall, as we wait for our guests to come back, we shall take a short break as our producer in the background plays a few adverts. Just to highlight this as well, Faizal is a gentleman who inspires a lot, but something very fascinating about him that he doesn't speak rocket science. He blends his life experience with inspiration. So he tells you something and you vividly see it. Like he tells us about this wooden bike. These things we see, they are really practical. He has told us about his life in the US, in the UK, in Stockholm as an immigrant, and he has had very nice quotations where he has one time told us that he believes in standing out in a room. Okay, he's here back, that he believes that if you go in a room and you're the only minority around, or you have something unique that puts you out, find something to use that for. Yes, you're the only black in the room, you're the only black at school, you're the only black man at your workplace. What is in there you can leave besides you being black naturally? So, and there are those bits that he has always used to motivate and inspire. Yes, Faizal.
Yes.
Yes, you're most welcome.
Thank you. Apologies,
Yes.
I had to go back upstairs.
Yes, thank you for that first bit where you took us through your wooden bike trip. Yes, and in this last segment, I just want to pick bits from our previous shows.
Yes.
Yes, I remember you sometime back when I asked you about your drive and vision in life. You somewhere highlighted that you'd love to be a philosopher, and you also have a vision of making a TED talk.
Yes.
That will be remembered for the rest of your life. That's so big a vision. But just to use your vision or your dream to speak to an immigrant out there in one of these well-to-do countries, we don't seem to live with such big visions, given the reasons and maybe the legit reasons we have excuses. That we came from wherever we came from and started from scratch. But you're living a life where you still dream big amidst being in a foreign land and having those ties here and there.
Yes.
So you have such a dream. Someone else would probably dreamt about something big when you were still in Uganda, Zambia, Kenya. But living in a foreign land where you have to start from scratch, learn a new language, integrate, study again, or even fail on studies, but you still love to pick up a dream you once dreamt.
Yes.
Would you speak from experience, encouraging an immigrant there who once dreamt of something as big as having a TED talk? but now seems to be hopeless. How best can one keep track of the vision?
Oh, wow. Well, I believe that sometimes our dreams are limited by the information that we have at hand. So I think the first part of that puzzle is try to inform yourself as much as you can. Because in one way, the way our brain works is that you cannot dream of something you're unable to envision. And to able to envision something, you need to have knowledge of that most of the times. And to get that knowledge, you need to educate yourself. So why do I dream of having a TED Talk? I will never have this dream unless I've seen a TED Talk myself. So most of the time, if I'm not working or if I'm not practical stuff, I put a lot of effort into widening my horizons. Like, I think the first time I saw a TED Talk that inspired me was by Simon Sinek. And the title is How Great Leaders Inspires Action. When I saw this TED Talk, it was like my mind blew. I said, wow, this has been what I've wanted all my life without knowing that I wanted this all my life. So to me, all of a sudden, that became so clear to me. This is a dream I wanted. But I would never had that dream unless I'd seen it. So I think sometimes we need information in order to dare to go places in our own mind. Mm-hmm. So this is, I guess, the first thing I'll try to give somebody is that I know we have daily life. You got to go to school or you have to go to work. You have a family you need to take care of. And then usually there's not a lot of hours left for self-development, if you will. And I think this is the space where I encourage people to be proactive in taking care of whether it's your mental or your soul or your spiritual well-being by educating yourself, read up on things. So most of the downtime that I spend is I love to read stuff. Or I like to reach out, like I can read an article about an interesting person, and then I go add this person on LinkedIn or I write to them. And I have questions. And so I think this is one of the easiest way, I think, to widen your whole universe as it is today. Because as you said yourself, the practical matters can take up a lot of your time. And then all of a sudden that becomes your whole entire universe. You go to work, then you go home, you need to do the practical stuff, eat, work out, clean your house, take care of your family, restart. And then if you don't proactively make time, this becomes your whole entire universe. And then all of a sudden your universe becomes very small. Mm-hmm. Versus if you put time aside, if you're a person who is into reading, try to find a new book. If you're a person into podcasts, if you're a person who is into listening to Euroforum, make that time every Sunday to listen. You might learn something new. Or if you're a person into watching Netflix, right? Netflix, it could be, I think humans are very good at escapism, right? Mm-hmm. You escape from the dread that you have. And usually we do that. Okay, let me watch this Netflix show for 5 hours. I might not get anything of value, but at least I don't have to think. And I think one of the biggest challenges is to think, because it takes time. But of course, I sit down too and I watch shows. But usually I get excited about shows where I take something from it. Like I can give you one example right now. Right now, I'm watching a show that's called The Man Who Fell to Earth. And
The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Yes. And it could be, for some people, it could be just a show. Oh, okay, I want to relax and me watch a show. But to me, oh my God, it enlightens my mind. It raises all these questions that I can discuss with my friends and my family. And there's so much there for me where I feel like, okay, I got entertained, but I also took with me something that gets my mind and my spirit excited. And to me, I realized it doesn't have to be one or the other. You don't have to either, okay, I'm just going to watch a show and just feel like I don't need to think. And I just want to be entertained. But I realize you can be entertained and you can take something with you. You leave from there and you're a little bit more excited about a certain topic or a subject or the way of thinking. So this is one I would recommend to people right now. If you just want to watch a show but still want to feel something that you can take with you to discuss, watch The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Yes, thank you, Faizal. You leave, you leave things to ponder every time one asks you a question, but again, you leave me with a challenge from the very question I've asked. Yes, our dear viewer, they are watching us. It is Faizal Luttamaguzi we are having today. He's a very vibrant and composed speaker. Not just from what he has read, but I think what he's gifted with naturally. And we always have him here the second Sunday of every month. We've had a topic which we've taken in episodes, Beyond the Challenge. We are finding ways of maneuvering through this topic, inspired from the fact that particularly we immigrants, that by all means, everyone who has left his country to another, you have battled challenges in one or the other. There is a way you've gone against the tide. Either you've succeeded or you're still entangled in the challenges around you. And this theme is to encourage you, is to inspire, to motivate you using Faizal's experience. He has lived in Stockholm, London, and New York. So he has a 3-in-1 bit of experience. So yes, our last bit for today, Faizal. Bringing your experience as a youth who has lived in 3 countries. You one time used a term, was it the moving blues? I think yes, I think it was the moving blues. And here you cited out a joke that you've actually found in all the 3 countries, that immigrant fathers are never in their children's lives. Yes, as we wind up, we are parents, so soon becoming parents, and these are challenges we can never escape for as long as we are not knowledgeable or informed. As we work our fingers off to make ends meet, sending money home because we have to, and again, we have a life to live here. Your experience in the 3 countries should have taught you a lot. But a father who is probably never in his child's life for reasons of working and maybe other reasons, how would you encourage us to strike a balance between the two?
As someone who's not a father myself, let me start by saying that I can probably never teach someone who is a father how to be a father. I think let's right the way put that on the table, is that I am not a father myself. So therefore, I can only speak in theories, not in practicalities about the role of fatherhood. But what I can speak about is the role of a son. I can speak about from the role of a child, 2 parents. And I think early on, I picked up certain aspects of that I did find peculiar. Again, and then you start breaking them down to, why do our people do things in a certain way versus others don't? And again, absent fathers is not only limited to Africans or to immigrants. Again, let's be clear on that. I think we've seen in movies and in real life examples where an absent father can be a very successful businessman. So he works all the time. So he's never there for his children. He just sends them money and he thinks he's done his job. But then these children, they develop drug habits. And then we see that all the time. Well, what happened to you? Oh, because I'm an absent father, I am an angry adolescent, or I take drugs. Because my father, all he does is work. He has his business. He's a CEO, blah, blah, blah. So being an absent father is not limited to our people. But I think that is something that I pretty early on was very curious about that space, because I can speak freely with you, is that the first people I was inspired by in their role as fathers were not our own fathers. It was people I found from outside circumstances. And I got to think, why is that? And again, I started asking myself, okay, why am I noticing this? And going back to what you said, because our fathers, or the fathers that we are today, were very busy with just surviving. Right? We're new in a country, they need to learn a new country, they need to learn the customs, a new language, they need to just to survive, to make sure we have food on the table. And I think we learned that from our cultures, where we come from. Is like, hey, listen, I've contributed because I've put food on your table. But thankfully, I think we live in a world now.
Faisal, just to interject a bit, to help Mugisha Moses out there, who is a father of two, yes, listening to Faisal, who is not a father. Mm-hmm. In as much as Faisal states that he's not a father, that he cannot lecture fathers on how to be fathers, mm-hmm, yes, I would still use, we have a popular Catholic priest in Uganda, mm-hmm, called Father Chivi Katerega, if the names are quoted right.
Okay.
He speaks on a range of topics, mm-hmm, and including parenting. And as we know, Catholic priests don't get married. Mm-hmm. So technically they are not fathers, mm-hmm, but they nurture, they give guidance and counsel to married people. And these lessons are applied and the people succeed. Mm-hmm. So to you, Mugisha Moses there, a father of two, mm-hmm, listening to Faisal, who says he's not a father, mm-hmm, whatever he's saying, there could be a thread to pick with you. So just wanted to make that clear. Okay. So that we don't close our minds on Atugambachi or Inabanabameka. So, there is that insecurity and arrogance sometimes we wear when listening to people speak, or Inabanabameka. What do you know? What are you telling us? But yes, sometimes people don't have to experience things to know them.
Yes. Yes. Mm. Very good inputs. And I absolutely agree with you. And I think the lesson I've taken from, as I said, as a child of parents, where I quickly saw this, is I think to be there, just to be there. And what do I mean by that is that we know the basics, is that you want to provide for your child with economic means, right? You want to make sure they have fees for their schools. You want to make sure they have food on the table, right? And but what does it mean to be there? Maybe it's just an ear to listen. Because I can watch sometimes. I have friends and families and relatives who have children, especially in the young age, right? They're 3 years old. And it's fascinating to me to see how much of an impact it makes if, they're out playing outside. And just for them constantly, while they're playing, to turn around and see, dad is there. They don't even need to interact with him. Just to be there, that he showed up at the playground as often as he can. So the kid plays and having fun with his friends, but every 10 minutes he turns around, he's there. Mm. And I think that has a tremendous impact, is what I've noticed, just to be there. And if you can't be there physically, as you said, Morgan Mugisha, who lives in one country and he has a child in another country, how other ways can you be there? As a listening ear, or as I'll give you one example that I find very tremendously helpful, is to write to your children. Maybe you don't have to send these letters, because there is a song that I love to listen to, and it's called Letter to My Unborn Child. And it's by an African group. I can't remember the name of it right now, but the song is named Letter to My Unborn Child. And I love this song because, again, these four musicians, African musicians, they write the song about the things they want to teach to their children. And they give them these life lessons that they've learned with the hope of one day the child will be born and they will be old enough to read these words. Mm-hmm. So what are the words I would like to give to my unborn child? And I said, that's actually a really good exercise. So as someone who don't have children, I've done this exercise. I've sat down and I've written letters to my unborn children that might be one day, that might never be one day. But just that exercise in itself teaches me something. So, okay, what are the words I can put on paper that even if I'm not there physically, I am there with the power of the words? Because every one of us can agree that you can read a book or a sentence and it can move you. You can feel joy, you can feel laughter, you can cry. So if a stranger's words can move you, this is a person you never met and never will meet, but they can write a book and you can feel, oh my God, I feel something. So imagine if words are written by the person who gave you life, by the person who's your father. So this is one way to be there without being there. Maybe write a letter on a weekly basis or whatever you encounter in your life. You said, okay, good morning, my unborn child. These are the week's lessons that I've learned as a father to be one day for you. And I've tried this exercise and it's been tremendously helpful to learn to put things down as to try to get exercise of being there for somebody. Because what might happen is one day, what if I never have children, but maybe these words that I've written down can benefit somebody else who is a child, but maybe they're fatherless, or they're looking for a father figure that's not their biological father. And maybe my words could be of value to them. Because I can tell you, I have father figures from people I've never met and probably never will meet. Like everybody loves Denzel Washington because he's a great actor and he does great movies. I love him because of the interviews outside of the movies. And I can say and look at him and listen to some of his words and I say, I can find some father figure-ness in this person. I don't know him as a character. I don't know what he's all about, but there are certain elements and things he say where I can feel I can learn something from him, or I can see, wow, maybe that's how I would like to be as a father one day, only based on the information I have at hand. So, for example, the other day I was listening to an interview with him, and the interviewer asked him, okay, you're an inspiration to many people. What do you want to say to all the people who look up to you? And he said, look at me, but listen to God. Like, learn that difference. Like, you don't know me, you don't know the challenges I go through. So yeah, look at me, but listen to God. And to me, that is such a simple sentence, but there's so much implication in that. And I love that just simple sentence within that, the scope of that is that, of course, we can have people inspire us. We can look up at people, we can look at them and see, oh, wow, this is something that's big. But where do we listen? And just that sentence, you can take it as you will. To listen to God might mean to listen to your inner self. Because, how do we speak to God? Some people, they pray, so you have an internal conversation. Some people do you meditate, or you do yoga, that's speaking to God. So basically telling him, like, yeah, you can look at outside people, they can inspire you, but listen to, what comes from here. So, right, that sentence in itself is, to me, it's so telling. And just by him saying that sentence, automatically he inspires me.
Yes, Faizal, there is a comment here. I want to thank you all watching on Facebook. Thank you for those who have shared. Julie, thank you for sharing. Andrew Chamagiro, thank you for sharing. I see Isian Yuji, thank you for watching. Mwesi Hannington, he's a gentleman living here in Norway. He has a comment. He says, thank you so much for the presentation and good words. There are incidences where reality beats the theory. Though in reality, many immigrant fathers want to be there, to be with their children all the time, especially those who are non-divorced. Circumstances sometimes dictate, and fathers find themselves to be working all the time in order to pay bills and help our people home. What's your input on that?
My input on that is, I love that. That's a good sentence saying that, yeah, reality beats theory every time. Of course it does. And just like with relationships, just like with choosing to start your own business or making wooden bikes, it's all comes down to a choice. this is personally what I believe, right? As in, we all have 24 hours of the day, right? And within that, we need to fill some kind of activity that's going to pay for our bills and our food. I think very few of us can escape that part. And then within those hours, also need to sleep. And then the rest of that comes down to choices, right? It's like in a relationship, you need to choose every day that person. So sometimes you like them less, or sometimes you like them more. But at the end of the day, you choose. You make a proactive choice. So I think, to me, that's what it comes down to. So I can give you one example, is that I have a friend who chosen to raise his child in a very non-traditional way. As in, he and his wife have decided that we don't want our kids to be too exposed to screens, whether it's TV or laptops or phones. So they said, usually we know this is a very convenient way when we need a break from the kid, right? Oh, okay, put on the TV so you can watch the TV. But they said, okay, we're going to choose not to take that route. Instead, we're going to choose to always have a conversation with this child. He's 3. You understand what a 3-year-old, they have a million things, there, so much energy. So you understand that sacrifice of that, of always trying to interact with the child and not try to put him on the screen. Like the implications of what that means, how many less hours of sleep you're going to have because you make that choice. But they've decided to make this choice. And with that comes less sleep, probably, comes more frustration, but because they believe in that along the line, the results will be so much worth it. And I think this is, I guess, the input I can have is that you make a proactive choice, whether it's regarding your partner, to choose their partner every day, to choose to believe in a love, or to choose to be a proactive father or a present father. Yeah, it all comes down to choice and to choose what to sacrifice away from that. And of course, not all choices are easy. All choices comes with sacrifice. And I think maybe that's one topic we can discuss next time. For all the choices I've made, what have I sacrificed? Because of course, with every choice, with every success I've had, that means there's sacrifices done. So what have I not experienced that maybe I could have because of the choices I've made? So that's one side of the coin that probably could be a really good discussion to have. And
yes, thank you so much, Faizal, and that you, Huntington Mwesi. Thank you for always throwing in your views, interactions. They really keep us going. And to you out there watching, this is a platform of opinions, facts, and research knowledge, of course. And that's, of course, people speaking from experience. So somewhere, somehow, you may differ in opinion. It should be very okay to drop a comment. Don't be intimidated to differ. We are only basic and ordinary as anyone else. So it's very okay. And it also gives us room to broaden the context of whatever we're talking about. Thank you out there, all of you watching. Andrew Chamagiro, thank you so much for watching, sharing. And to inform you watching us, Andrew Chamagiro is one of our regular guests here who comes every last Sunday of the month. Okay, yes, as Faisal fixes this light, yes, I was saying that Andrew Chamagero is with us here every Sunday or last Sunday of the month, speaking on the theme, keeping afloat. Under this, there are so many inspirations where we believe that we are all working to be somewhere. But of course, there are those tying blocks that deter us from making it. So it is almost in the same line with Beyond the Challenge, but the only difference is that Faizal is sharing those experiences from the countries he has lived. And we want to thank you all who take time to like our pages. We have a TikTok account, a page, YouTube page, Facebook page, and an Instagram account. Please take time, share subscribe, and follow those pages. We are winding up now. But before that, Faisal, I believe every time we host you, there is a word in your closing remarks that you leave to the so many, particularly immigrants. I want always to direct your shows to immigrants because we are in the same radius. All we are facing, you probably faced it as a youth who has grown up in Stockholm, gone to school in the US and the UK. Your last piece of encouragement was about being in control, that you mastered the art, or you're working to master the art of being in control. The other was about standing out and using minority as a strength to stand out uniquely. I know today you've prepared something to leave us with. Your last remarks as you help an immigrant out there to keep beyond the challenge.
Wow, it is a big question. So I think I would like to finish off with one of the biggest lessons I think I've learned along the way of being an immigrant 3 times, right? Throughout my life, I've been an immigrant in Sweden, in the US, and in the UK. So I've done the journey over and over and reset. And probably you could put forth, because going back to Uganda today, I'll probably be an immigrant, more or less. And I think one of the most interesting lessons I've learned along the way is the most natural thought for us as immigrants is to, okay, I'm new to this country. How can I look out for me, right? How can I prosper? How can I make sure to be on equal grounds? But I think usually when that happens the most successfully and the fastest is to begin by contributing to the collective. So this is my final remarks, is that try to begin in the end of contributing to the collective. And I think it goes back to what we spoke about with the wooden bicycles, that how do I contribute to the greater good of Sweden? How do I contribute to that? So I think in our journey of finding ourself, our individual person, it's sometimes fascinating to see that happens the most successfully when we actually begin by contributing to the greater good. So this is the last remarks I would like to leave with you today.
Yeah, thank you so much. We want to thank you for your time. Thank you for those interactions, those who have kept on watching. Rizik Topaz says, I like that as it's about giving back. Yes, someone has already captured something from that. Yes, thank you so much. Rizik Topaz is also one of our regular guests who is always here every Friday to speak about Banavan, the Norwegian Child Welfare Service, an institution that is tainted and branded with cases of splitting families where it takes children. And during our shows, she sheds light on the other side of Banavan, beyond the negativity and the propaganda. She always brings to light what we don't know. Yes, thank you so much, Moses. Mugisha is my name here in Oslo. And our guest has been Faizal Luttamaguzi, a Ugandan we proudly speak of as one who is a proprietor of tours of Stockholm, tours of London, and tours of New York. You promised that this year we shall be having tours of Oslo. Maybe in our next show, you'll be telling us more about tours of Oslo, and then a vision of having tours of Kampala. I know someone out there watching you in the field of tours and travels would love to be in partnership with you. Maybe as we carry on our shows, you throw more light on who you would love to put on board and what your expectations are. Thank you so much for now. We sign out. Yes, bye for now.
Bye-bye. Happy Sunday.
You too, please.